Go right ahead, Miss Wendy. We're ready to rock and roll, man.
Hello, 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 hello. It is Friday, July 29th, 28th. I'm rushing the days. July 28th. Welcome to the Writer's Wordshop. Of course, as you know, I am not Nathaniel Gadsden, but I appreciate the opportunity to stand in. I am Wendy Nochirione, one of the poets of Nathaniel Gadsden's Writer's Wordshop. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we've got a couple people coming in, got a couple things going on this evening that we will do. Filling in for Nate, who has the honor of being with our young people from the AXO competition. This is the nationals where the gold and I believe silver and bronze medalists from Harrisburg are, where they are in, I believe they're in Boston. So let's wish a great show, performances and exhibition to our young people, and congratulations again and in advance. And thank you to Nate and Pat Gadsden for always supporting our young people and always supporting our community. And if you are interested, or if you have a young person that's interested, make sure you contact, excuse me, make sure you contact Nate Gadsden. It is so important that our young people have an opportunity to showcase their talents. And Harrisburg has such talented young people. We were on last week, Saturday, and I'll probably talk about it again, but it's just came up, so I will talk about it again. But on last week, several of our young people, or a few of our young people that are participating this weekend, came to the Poetry and Pastries program that the Writer's Workshop had at 901 South Arlington. And they had a chance to sort of practice with us. And we had poetry, singing, and different things. It was sponsored by a Giant, and also sponsored by Aetna. So it was a wonderful opportunity. And our young people that are in Boston right now, one sang, another one, I believe, came up and did her poetry. And we also had an opportunity to have some of the younger students to come up on the microphone. And one, she did a poem of her own. Another one read from Miss Washington's book. And so we had quite a show. Quite a show, and it was very interesting, and we had a great time. So thank you again to Nate Gadsden, to Nicole Wilkerson for putting it together, to Sarita Henderson for also helping us out and putting it together. We had Nan Swanson and yours truly. Julia Mallory was there and spoke. It was just a great time. And there's one of our young people who had an opportunity. She did her poem straight from the top of her head, and a young man that read to us. So thank you again, Nate Gadsden, for this opportunity. Thank you to the Writer's Wordshop for all you do. Thank you to everyone that came out and supported the Writer's Wordshop, supported our young people. And of course, thank you to our community sponsors, Giant Stores, grocery store there on Grayson Road, and Aetna Health. So I feel like, since I am Nate Gadsden, at some point this evening, I should tell a couple of jokes, and then that I should be entertaining. But more than anything, that we should get some poetry going. For those of you that are listening, those of you that are on, please, if you'd like to send comments, you can comment in the comment section, and I'll keep my eyes open, and we'll also share your comments as well. And any writers that are out there, any poets or writers that are out there, You can also send a message if you'd like to come on and share your poetry. And one of the things that I guess is important to say to anyone new that is looking to come on, we don't necessarily censor the Writers Workshop. However, keep in mind that this is a faith-based organization, family family oriented, and so we're very careful with our words and with our topic and our content and what we share. So if anyone is to come on or looking to come on in the future, please, by all means, hit one of us up on Facebook, or Minister Chris Thomas there at the Voice 17104, Nathaniel Gadsden, or myself, Wendy Washington No Chirionye. And we certainly would love to have you come on. Usually what we do is we share some poetry. We kind of talk about what's going on in the literary world, any projects that we have going on and things like that. So if there is a subject or a topic that you have or that you know of that you would like to share, by all means, please put it in the message, and we will make sure that we talk about it. And any questions that you might have, we can certainly also put that in the topic to discuss. So we had poetry and pastry on last week, Saturday. And it was really nice and really interesting. One of the things that kind of came up was just in our writing and encouraging young people to write, encouraging anyone actually. And I talked about the therapy of writing and what it does for me. Of course, that's I can only speak for what it does for me, which is just it's therapeutic, and it always has been. I've been writing since I was very young, I should say, and I started probably just writing stories, short stories, poems, different things, and it's turned into it's turned into, I guess, where I am and what I do today. So I want to encourage people to write, whatever it is, just write. If you have something that you're thinking of, something on your mind, anything, just write. And one of the things I said is that if there's a problem, when you write it down, you can write it down, close the book, put the book away, and I guarantee you the problem will still be there. It'll be there when you come back. But the good news is that you don't have to carry it around with you all the time. So by all means, I encourage everyone to take some time and just write. See what you think about it. Journaling, poetry, short stories. And speaking of poetry and short stories, I will say this, and I'll bring this up again as well. I'll make sure I mention it a couple of times for anyone that's interested. We have our electronic magazine, the Writers Workshop magazine. Our first edition was published for the month of July. And then now our August edition should be coming out within the next week. If you are interested in being a part of the Writers Workshop online magazine, please see anyone in the Writers Workshop. Sarita Henderson is accepting submissions, poetry 500 words or less, a short story 1,500 words or less. If you'd like to sponsor an ad, if you have a small business or a big business or a large business or corporation, by all means, please feel free to also send that in, and you can put your business in. So it's Nathaniel Gadsden's Writers Workshop digital magazine. featuring short stories and poetry writings by global artists, and it is international. So we welcome your submissions monthly. For more information, email us, and it is, I believe, the Writers Wordshop online at gmail.com. Excuse me. So please feel free to enter your submissions, and I'd love to see you there. Maybe our short stories or our poetry will be back to back next to each other. So also, it was a busy weekend. I don't know how many of you have seen this. Excuse me. It is stories of African American struggles and achievements that feed the soul by ours truly, Dr. Nathaniel Gadsden. So how about this cough just showed up, okay? But anyway, it is, of course, hardback, but it is a great book. Wanted to go through. The dedication is, this book is dedicated to all keepers of our culture who tell our stories by any means necessary, Ashe. And what he did is he has included information, different things about things that are going on in Harrisburg, different articles that have been published in the Berg that Dr. Gadsden has included, and different things that he's has spoken about. And it is really a great book. So for your copy, make sure that you see Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Gadsden stories of African American struggles and achievements that feed the soul. Wow, this cough is just like a child or a pet that just shows up at the most inopportune time. So our format, we will keep our same format this evening that we have every week. We will have some poetry, and then we will have a couple videos and kind of do a round robin. Let's say hello to William Holland, said blessing. William Holland, blessings to you as well. I'm hoping all is well with you. Again, if you're out there, please let us know that you're out there. Let us know where you're from, where you're watching from, and if there is anything on your mind with regards to the Writers Wordshop, writing, any questions you might have about writing, how to get started. Are you published? Are you working on getting published? What exactly are you doing in the writing world yourself? Or is it something you'd like to try, something that you've always wanted to do, but just never taken the time to do? I'd love to hear from those of you that are out there and that are on watching. Definitely would love to hear from you. So I will, I will try to work my way through a poem, and then maybe we can go to a video. As I said, I started writing at a very young age. I would write and share it with my grandmother, and I wouldn't really share it with anybody else. Just would share it with my grandmother. And so a lot of my poetry is reflective of my grandmother, of growing up. I do not know how to write fiction poetry or fictitious poetry. So when I write, I can write fiction, and I'm actually in the process of writing a novel, of publishing my first fiction novel. However, my poetry is a little closer to home. I tend to write poetry when I've got something on my mind, or when it's something has upset me. So when there is a shooting or a senseless killing, or when something happens in society, or there's just something that we as a people have to deal with. I would typically write about that, or relationships, whether happy, sad, whichever way. I tend to write from my emotions and my feelings. I tend to write poetry from my emotions and my feelings. So having said that, my first book of poetry is Clouds Before Fire and Smoke Before Rain. And a lot of people say, well, clouds don't come before fire and smoke does not come before rain. But again, having grown up with my grandmother, Hazel Franks, is my best friend at a very young age. Anytime I call her, to say something happened, she'd say, well, what were the warning signs? And of course, when she would say it, I would do what most teenagers do. I'd roll my eyes and be like, oh, grandma, please, not that again. But she would say everything in life comes with a warning sign. There's always clouds before rain and always smoke before fire. So as I was looking for a title for my book, I thought a lot about my grandmother, and I had written a piece that I'll share with you now, which helped me to name my book. So I will share a piece. And again, this is taken from my book, Clouds Before Fire and Smoke Before Rain. Clouds before fire and smoke before rain. Everything in life comes with a warning sign, she said. And I've spent my life looking for signs, searching for signs that lead to answers that I can't see, or questions I sometimes won't speak. I look for signs to point out the obvious, or at least make the truth, the answers I already know, palatable. I canvass people's faces, finding it difficult to trust what I see, even if it matches what I hear. I still look for a deeper meaning, connecting words with body language, finding misleading mixed signals. I can't afford to miss another warning sign. Whispering amen to cardinals in flight, she said one day she'd be a cardinal. And though I can't be sure it's her, I can't risk that this one may not be the answer to the silent prayer and unspoken hope. Her cardinal sign says something good is going to happen. I pray daily for goodness and mercy. I simply reply, amen. A natural sky watcher from birth, I reach for the sky. Somewhere in that vast, unreachable space is my limit. My goals and my angels are up there. I watch cloud patterns and admire how God must love them, how he baptizes them with sunlight and puts them above the rain. I see what must be majestic presences. I wonder, do they see me? Big Mama, both of my fathers, Grandma, my children, a brother, a best friend, a lover. Do they send me signs? Do they catalog my questions? Does Ernest still keep my secrets? Do they deliberate and confer as a committee for my fate? Angels perched on clouds, ascending and descending. Am I missing the warning sign? Surely I'd be more prepared in life instead of standing in fear of the unknown, feeling incomplete and void. The signs are so unclear from here. As self-proclaimed meteorologist, I watch for weather patterns, and whether I chase the storm or the storm chases me, the answer is always in the clouds. And I watch them come and go, soaking up my tears only to send them back to me tenfold. Does anyone see this forest I am in? Or am I the only one looking at all of these trees? Am I too close to the problem to see the solution? Give me a sign. How can you see the fire when it's raining so hard? My life is a concoction of warning signs, cryptograms, and mile markers, a story of planted seeds, indications of growth and life, evidence of struggle and sorrow, seasons come and gone, hope for whatever will follow. You'd think by now I would recognize signs. By now, I should be fluent in sign language. I've been standing in smoke-filled relationships, waiting for the air to clear, wondering if I'm on fire or is this relationship really burning down? rummaging through old baggage and past heartaches, looking for a clue of what went wrong, hoping these bags of designer issues I've been carrying around will either catch on fire or at least be the fuel for the fire I've been waiting for. Asthmatic gasp for air from the density of the smoke, but I can't find fire. Heat from all of life's problems, a burn from the weight of the world on my shoulders. Smoke, inhalation, and burning are the worst ways to die and catastrophic ways to live. Burning within from a flame lit from love, passionate for those things that make life worthwhile, emotionally combustible, dry roots, old relationships, unhealed hurts, kindling for even the smallest flicker. I am a forest fire praying for the shade and cover of whomever lingers in the clouds. Thirsty for the growth of the rain and how it quenches my curiosities, cleanses my thoughts, washes away my fears, my doubts, and my insecurities. If only the rain could exterminate these fires, if the smoke could dissipate, I could see my own fires and be a firefighter instead of a weather woman. If the fire that burns would ignite the good in life and spread internally from heart to heart instead of a community lynching, that same fire would propel us to destinies of greatness. And I'll watch the clouds, knowing one day I too will be there. I'll bask in their beauty, still looking for signs of my loved ones who watch from afar, amening at cardinals and roses blooming in off season. Random acts of kindness and butterflies in flight will still tickle my spirit and make me smile. Everything in life comes with a warning sign, she said. There's always smoke before there's fire, and there are always clouds before the rain. Every time I stop to gaze at the clouds, allowing my focus to shift, something catches on fire. And when I need the rain to put out the fires, my world is filled with smoke. Is it only my life that has clouds before fire and smoke before the rain? Or is that another missed warning sign? Clouds before fire and smoke before rain. So, Minister Chris, if we could go into our first video. I kind of want to stay on target and let's see what he has for us.
My dreams have been pitch black for as long as I can remember. They tell me seasons change, but my mind is stuck in December, and it rains every day. Cold wind runs through the drops, almost freezing each one, and I'm standing there waiting for the sun to come. And like I told you, I'm stuck in December. I never get to January 1st. Never get a chance at a new beginning or get a chance at happiness. I'm left in the cold as the rain keeps falling. And my emotions tell me that being happy is a real thing. But faking a smile is the closest I can get to it. Depression is like a memory your mind is unable to forget. And for some reason, when it comes to this, my mind is photographic. Out of nowhere, I can feel like bursting into tears. As if it just pops up out the blue, my heart is overcome with fears. Choking back screams because of nothing. Nothing has to happen for me to get dragged into that dark place. I'm scared that one day I will let my depression define me. As if I'm nothing more than a bundle of tears whose core is empty. You would think that love could make me smile. Judging me by normal standards seems to be society style. Because sadness is a state that ruins the so-called happy mood. And when I get emotional, I seek my refuge in food. As if each bite is a small remedy for the pain in my heart. They love to ask me if I knew when the depression found its start, but that doesn't matter. It's like walking on a dark road in a forest that's been ripped from its light. I've been given a soul that's strong enough to survive, but not strong enough to fight. And I'm holding the broken pieces of my mind together with all my might, and I've been doing it for 20 years, and I'm still not doing it right. Writing has lost its power. My words weakened by overuse. Even my logic is battered and bruised from overuse. I can't even keep telling myself it's going to be okay anymore. The voices in my head, I've trained them to stay silent, but they won't listen anymore. Putting an end to it all seems to be tempting because in my mind, it just won't stop raining. Fino.
Wow. It won't stop raining. That is, excuse me, that is a prime example of someone who has um, written what's on his mind, and very well, and he shared it. That is beautiful. That's definitely beautiful. I want to say hello to Nan Swanson. Hello, Nan Swanson. Nan sang, well, let's start here. She's also one of the poets from Nathaniel Gadsden's Writer's Wordshop. And she also is a phenomenal singer. So Nan shared her voice with us and sang, as well as shared one of her poems, one of my favorites. She shared two, I believe she did, but she definitely shared one of my favorites that she has written. So maybe she will join us at some point this evening and share her poetry or a song with us this evening. Again, thank you for joining Nathaniel Gadsden's Writer's Workshop. I am Wendy Nochiri Onye, and I'm sitting in for Nathaniel Gadsden and this Friday evening. And or let me scratch my list of things I need to do and say, or Denzel. You'll see that's Denzel, or at least the Denzel lookalike, and those are several of our writers that are on there. So if you're interested in participating or joining us on the workshop, please just look us up and let us know. We would love to have you. You do not have to be a published author to be on to be a part of the Writers Workshop, and we have young people as well. My son Taft, who is now 18 and a college student, Taft is also a writer, and Taft and I joined the Writers Workshop together actually in 2017. So I believe he was 13 when he joined. Does that make sense? 12? My math is not mapping right now. However, Taft is also one of the writers. Something else that we do and we often talk about is the Writers Retreat. We have a Writers Retreat at E-Town, so it's Elizabethtown University in Elizabethtown, at the Writers at the Bowers Writers House, I believe it's called. And what we do is we come together and we write. That's just what we do. We come together and we write. We start about 9 in the morning on a Saturday morning, and we start with a workshop, or there's a presentation, or someone comes to speak with us. And then we, at Bowers Writers House, that's it. So then after we do that, we get a prompt, we receive a prompt, and we take about 45 minutes to an hour, and everyone spreads out throughout the house. And the neat thing about this house is this house has a lot of soul. It has a spirit to it, and it's a very comfortable place to write. And then after we do our writing, we come back together and we share what we've written. Nothing like ice water. I guess hot tea would be better. Garçon, garçon. So we come back together and we share what we've written, and it's a safe and easy place where, and I believe this was our very first writers workshop retreat. And so a lot of our writers and a lot of the writers that have come through over time and continue to come back are doing that. So We look forward to next month, I believe it's next month. We look forward to next month where we will be able to do it again and have those writers come in. As a result, or one of the things that was born from the Writers Workshop was our anthology. And from the anthology, we each submitted in the anthology, and we were able to publish that together as well. In that last picture, London McLean, another one of our youth, that was a gold, I believe a gold medal winner in AXO, is also one of the long-term, long-standing writers, young writers in the Writers Workshop. And so we have just had a great time. And as I'm looking at these pictures, I'm seeing, so this is at least 3 different work retreats that I've seen, because I've got on 3 different outfits. I just realized that. But anyway, we've had a great time coming together and writing. And so probably before the night is through, I'll actually look to see and share one of the pieces that came out of the Writers Workshop retreat. Excuse me. I feel terrible for coughing through the night, but I don't know where this came from. So anyway, that is another thing that we do. As I said, Reverend Gadsden's always doing things in the community and always helping us to do things. So, especially where it involves writing, especially where there's an opportunity for others to write. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. A lot of people have come and said, "Oh, I don't write. I just came to see. I just came to see, or I just came to listen. I don't write." And you'd be surprised once you show up. You probably are a writer. If not, when you get there, if you're not already a poet, you certainly will be when you leave. So by all means, please look out for every Friday night when we do the Writers Retreat, different Saturdays throughout the various Saturdays throughout the year, where we are at 901 South Arlington with different activities, and then then at the Writers Retreat. And then the other thing that we do as the Writers Workshop is we also are at the State Museum on 3rd and Forster. And I believe we do that on the 5th Sundays, but don't quote me on that one. But we are there 5 times a year. And then we also have a major Kwanzaa celebration. All of our events are co-sponsored between the Writers Workshop and Life Esteem program. And then we have different community sponsors as well. So by all means, please continue to look for the different things that we do. And please come out and support the writers, your community, people who are telling the stories of our community. And that's actually what this is. It says this book is a labor of love. Most of the articles were written for the Black Wall Street newspaper, which is published in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Many of the articles highlight historical leaders, national and international institutions, and important events in African American history. I am mostly motivated to write because of my love of African American history and the study of the African diaspora. My hope is that this book will inspire you, the reader, to understand that African American history is happening around us every day. And so this is just very important. And doing something like this, and especially with especially with the things that are going on in the city of Harrisburg, in the United States, worldwide, and just in society in general, things that um, not only our young people, but um, our seasoned people are dealing with times and situations that they've never had to deal with before. So there are a lot of things that are happening that are new to us, that we've never had to experience, and we've never had to explain to our children, or we've never had to have our children explain to us, or not explain to us, but we've never had to explain to our children, never had our children to experience. Um, well, I guess in some cases, our children do have to explain things to us. So, because they seem to be born with knowledge of certain things. However, um, we are seeing times and things that we've never experienced before. And so I think that this is the time where we start to write about it, write about what we see, what we hear, what we feel, where we start to catalog um, those things. Eh, if you think back, if we think back, and it's not very far, but this is something that all of us have experienced. And I would encourage anyone to sit down and write about it, because we're at a point now to where um, it's not too new to write about it. But think about when we first heard, where were you and what happened and what did you do? What was your reaction? When you first heard that there was a possibility of a virus, a worldwide spread virus, where were you? What were you doing? First thought, were you like, whatever? Or were you like, oh my God? Then the next thing is where were you when they said they were shutting everything down? I remember personally that the school announced that they were closing before anything else, and they said it would be for 2 weeks. So my thought was, okay, well, um, we'll be home for 2 weeks, and that's it. Then when 2 weeks came and went and came and went and came and went, now we're at 2 months. Well, that's a little bit different. And where were you, or when did you first realize we were in trouble? Did you ever think that we were in trouble? What was your first trip to the grocery store like during COVID? How did you feel? Were you one of those people that you were allowed to go in early between 6 and 7 because certain people were allowed to go in? Um, just different things. When did when did it really affect you? When did it really hit? Um, and as you think about that, write it down. That's all. Just write it down. When did when did it really affect you? When did you realize, wait a minute, this is really happening? Because a lot of us thought, no biggie, it's not it's gonna be. At first I thought, well, 2 weeks and then we're done. But when did you really see it? Or um, what was on your mind when they showed on the news the trucks, the refrigerated trucks that they were calling into New York City to use as refrigerated morgues? Um, um, did you lose a loved one? And was there no closure? Maybe write a letter to them. Um, write a letter telling them. And then maybe that will help you to find the closure if you didn't have it. Um, you know, there's so many ways that you can look at it, and different things that you can do to write about it, to catalog it. And now think about 20 years from now. 20 years from now, we'll be in 2043. 2043, it doesn't even sound right. It sounds like a lottery number. Somebody played that. And I want my cut. But 2043. We'll be in 2043, and it will be past, we'll be well past that, and people will remember it. But 20 years from now, there'll be a whole new generation of people who weren't here, or people who were born, but they won't remember because they were babies. And who will tell the story? Who will tell what happened? Who will tell? I mean, we can say, yes, there was a pandemic. We can list the facts. But the question is, how did you feel? What did it do to you? How did it make you feel? And I think that that's what poetry and this type of writing that I'm talking about, that's what it is. It is, what did it look like? What did it sound like? Where were you? I mean, just the details of it. I think of poetry and writing and storytelling, because as Nate always says, I'm more of a storyteller than, well, still a poet. I'm always a poet, but my poetry is more of a storytelling. And let's see, I don't know, is that you, Dr. Dan?
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Hello. Is that this is Denzel Washington calling in from Boston, Massachusetts. How you doing?
Denzel. So glad you could join us. Look at what happens at the Writers Wordshop.
Yes, indeed. I heard you on, and I'm doing great. We're here in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts, at the NAACP conference with the AXO students who just nailed it last night and yesterday, and now we're just kind of hanging out, doing some things. And I said, we tune in Wendy Noche on here, one of my favorite poets, and I heard you doing good stuff, and I'm like, where are the people supporting Wendy? What's going on here? Where the poets at? So I said, let me call in there and say something to this lady.
Well, I'm glad. I at the very beginning, I did talk about our young people that were there, and I congratulated them again and in advance, because I know they always rock it. So, and so you say they've done a good job.
Oh my goodness, yeah, all of them, and this place is packed, of course, with nothing but talent from all over the country, and so it just is what it is. And I certainly don't envy the judges, because they have a big job on their hands. But I will tell you, the young people from Harrisburg showed up, showed out, and just did their best. And that's the only thing you could ask for, Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So I saw a video. I just want to be clear. I saw a video, and you posted it, and they were doing, I believe they were doing the Cupid Shuffle or something. Was that you front and center doing it as well?
Yeah, I was leading the charge, They didn't know how to do it, so I had to break it down for them. And I'm telling you, those young folks, they know how to get it done. I'm like, what the devil? And then they do this thing where they all circle up into a big circle and get to jumping up and down and that. I'm like, oh, no, I ain't getting out there. But they had a lot of fun. That was last night.
When we took them to DC, they did that, and we weren't sure if they were if what was getting ready to happen.
I know. I'm like, this is a war cry. What's happening here? But no, it was. And you're talking about some 800 young people to 1,000 maybe, all cramped up in here, and they're just having a wonderful time. And then to be meeting each other and understanding that each other, everybody has a talent and all that kind of good stuff. You don't see anybody posturing, no fights, none of that kind of stuff. Very high class stuff, very much so. Yeah.
Of course, I'm so proud of the young people, and also just you and Pat, Miss Pat, and Cabo Brunson, for the things that you all do. And I talked about it when I first came on. Just always supporting the young people, but not only the young people, but those of us that are in the community that are using our voices and our talents and different things. So thank you to you all. You guys are gold medalists in my book as well.
I appreciate you saying that. We really enjoy it. And I really got to take hats off to Cabo Brunson for all he does to, continue to fire under this program and to raise the funds and to make the connections with community, because they will support this program, and the community has stepped up in a big way, over the years. Kava started this, he started doing this program. It was, actually in process before he came along, but he started making this program happen back in 1999, and carried it on every year since. Yeah. And he just can't, the fact that this is a national program, and up here in Boston right now, they are really rolling out the red carpet for these young people. All the news got it all over the place. All the so-called stars are flying through here like crazy. We're looking forward to Kamala Harris tomorrow morning, who will be speaking to the assembly, and then also Hillary Clinton is going to be here as well. And they said there's some 62 dynamic speakers that will be coming this way in the next couple of days. So to expose our young people to that kind of, stuff is just incredible. And I understand, based on what Kava is telling us, that next year they're going out to Las Vegas. The NAACP conference, and AXO will be going to Vegas. Yeah, so I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Wow.
God is blessing. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's exposure. It's exposure for our young people that they may not, they not necessarily have, or at least have access to, not on this level. We can take them anywhere, but to give them this type of experience is something totally different. So for anyone listening, definitely reach out. You have a young person. Tell us again what AXO stands for.
The Afro Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics. And it is for students grades 9 through 12. It is primarily for African American students, but students of color, or of all races are invited to participate. And the whole idea behind it was that a gentleman, I'm messing up his name, but back in the 1970s, early 70s, he came with the idea. Then around 1978, the NAACP picked it up as a program that they wanted to support. And so the idea was that it would encourage African American students to consider, the STEMs, the science and technologies. And, the other stuff came along as well, the poetry and the dance and all that. And so there are 33 different categories that the students can participate in, and they can participate in up to 3 categories, per competition. And the competitions are held all over the nation locally. And then the gold medal winners are eligible then to come to the nationals and compete against, the best of the best. And I got to tell you, all of our students have done well. We had 16 young people, 15 actually came, but 16, and one young person couldn't come based on some circumstances beyond their control. But, we got a chance to hear a number of them or to see their projects. And the Harrisburg kids, I'm telling you, they're just as good and dynamic and poised as anybody else that you see there. Now, you've seen some incredible talent, but when it comes down to poise and dedication, we're doing it. And so hats off, let me just say this real quickly to all of our gold medal winners, but I do want to point out India Smith, who did poetry performance. And, I wasn't in the room when she did it, but my wife was, and some other folks who are part of our delegation, and they all said she nailed it. They were like, man, India Smith walked in that room and took control of the room with her poetry. And we're so proud of her because she worked hard on that. Yeah, yes, indeed. So I just point her out. But all the young people are great, though.
That is so amazing because India, I remember when we were at the bookstore, what's the bookstore on 3rd Street? What's the name of the bookstore?
Yeah, the one, Midtown Scholar?
Midtown Scholar. When we were at Midtown Scholar, and she would come with the youth group one Friday out of a month, and she would not say much. She didn't talk much. She was very quiet. And then, we'd hear a poem and we were like, wow. And then, we'd hear a little more and like, wow. So she has really, really come around and has bloomed and blossomed into a fantastic young poet. I'm always impressed to hear, but this is in my opinion, this is really what AXO does. This is the exposure that I was talking about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where do our young people have an opportunity, or how many other young people
Mm-hmm.
have opportunities like this to have a stage, an opportunity to present like this. And even when they present here in Harrisburg, it's amazing. I have had an honor of being a judge a couple of years in a row, and it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing to watch our young people.
Yes, yes. I got to tell you, since we're talking about writing, I do have to lift up also Priscilla Smith wrote one of the best stories, and I have no idea what she's going to, if she's going to win a medal on the national level. But the through our preparatory academy that we established, we had some folks work with, and all of our students that want to take advantage of it. And Priscilla Smith has a story that is just absolutely outstanding. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, that's good. And then I had a couple of people coming like Valerie Gray and Nicole Wilkerson and others, and they heard the story and they were like, wow, that's good, And Valerie Gray happens to be a professor writing up at Harrisburg Area Community College. So I know she knows her stuff. And she was really blown away too. She said, I just got to point out that India Smith story is really, really, outstanding. So anyhow, so she was on the national level. And then hats off to Janice Baldwin. Janice wrote an essay, and she had like a 9-page essay that she put together on a very sensitive subject. And the judges were highly impressed. That doesn't mean she's going to necessarily win a medal, but it means that they really raved about her research, her writing, and all of that. So as far as our writers are concerned, they just knocked it out the park. They did a great job. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm so proud of them. And now I just need an AXO for adults.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to do that.
Yeah. And then the nationals should be like in the Bahamas or something like that.
See, I was thinking South Africa, but we can do Bahamas. It's all good.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better. South Africa. That would be more appropriate. I know that you can make that happen.
Oh, I can. Maybe not this lifetime, but it can happen now.
It can happen. I also have your book with me, Stories of African American Struggles and Achievements That Feed the Soul. So we talked about your book a little bit earlier before you came on.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we've covered quite a bit of ground. I apologize. I've coughed my way through most of it.
Listen, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate you.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Hey, you know what? Don't forget to mention the magazine, the online magazine, free, that's coming out in August, hopefully next week. Sarita Henderson has done a bang-up job, fantastic job, and it's something to look forward to.
Absolutely, we did. We went over the magazine, and I will also make sure that I share the website, the email address again for it as well. And we talked about the retreat. Do we have a date for our next retreat?
No, in fact, we don't. I'm thinking of pushing it back to September before we get started again, since August is right upon us. And I want to make sure that we work with Jesse Waters, who's the executive director of that, to establish a firm day. I'm thinking we're going to shoot for the first Saturday of every month, and just see how we do with that. And if that gets to be too much, because he wants to include faculty members as well as students from from school.
Okay.
So that'd be fantastic if we can.
The first Saturday, I believe, the first Saturday of September would be Labor Day weekend, and I don't know if that would be difficult to schedule, but just kind of keep that in mind.
Well, no, you just hit it. You just nailed that one there. That certainly ain't gonna work. No, but what we'll do is either do a different day in September and then try to shoot for, maybe the first Saturday or something like that. Either the second Saturday, it could be a second Saturday. But that's a good heads up. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. do we have a date for, I know October is National Storytelling Month, and for October, but do we have a date for the State Museum prior to that? And is that our next activity at the State Museum?
The next activity at the State Museum will be that third Sunday in October, which is the 15th, October the 15th, I believe.
Okay.
And by the way, I forget the exact date, but the last Wednesday, I think it is Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have, I think it's Thursday, we're going to be doing a big poetry celebration and contest for the Police Athletic League, PAL. And that's going to be at the Forum. And so we're in the process of pulling that together right now. And we're going to try to get all the county schools, not just the Harrisburg schools, but the county schools involved in this gigantic writing process. And then we will select what we consider to be, the better poems. And then we'll try to get 10 students from middle school and 10 students from high school to come down and actually read their poetry and, make it a contest there at the State Museum. So we're looking to make this thing big, and we're doing it in relationship with, it is actually a PAL program, but they're hiring us on to, make it happen. And so we will make it happen. So look forward to that as well. Yeah. But and I'll tell you more about that because we certainly need your involvement. But the next big event that we're going to have is at the State Museum on the 15th of October. We're looking if we can get the funding. We're going to hopefully bring in a band that day as well, or the Children of Adams Band. But if not, then we'll be bringing them in December, hopefully for Kwanzaa. But they're outstanding. You love that. They're out of Philadelphia. Very positive, very Afrocentric. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wonderful. We certainly will be looking forward to that. I wanted to just go down the list, and I did talk about all of the things that the Writers Wordshop does. Do we have another date lined up for our next event at South Arlington, or is that South Arlington?
South Arlington. Actually, we were trying to do something every month. In fact, there's going to be a back to school program that we're doing. That's in August, in fact. And I will need to double check that. I don't have it in front of me, but Nicole Wilkerson, who is our events coordinator, has been working with me to, pull together some things. In fact, I won't be at South Arlington. It's going to be in conjunction with the Rite Aid that's way down on Derry Street going towards Hershey. And they hosted us last year. And so I'll tell you more about that as well. And that was a huge success last year, the back to school program. So we'll tell you more about that. But we always try to have the poets and writers involved by especially giving out books and all that kind of good stuff. And then in Arlington, we just did, as you know, the poetry and pastry event. And so we're looking to do some other things. But, right now there's nothing formally planned, but we do have some ideas in the works that we'll tell you about now. Yeah. So we have a lot of venues cooking, Yeah.
Yes.
December, the second Saturday in December, we're hoping to do Kwanzaa. Second Saturday in December, and we're hoping to work it through the Harrisburg High School gymnasium once again. And that should be a really, big blast for us. One other thing we're talking about doing, wasn't that a lot of fun? Yeah. Well, the other big thing we have planned, we have a lot of things cooking here, is that on the 16th, let me see, I think it's the 15th, I believe is the Sunday. So it's the 14th of October. We're looking to have an awards banquet over at the Central Penn College for local area writers. Most of our events have been supported lately by Giant Foods and Aetna Insurance. And so we're hoping to, have our sponsors and some other sponsors added on as well. But we want to have a dinner, and we want to honor some folks who have been integral to the Writers Workshop, and just make it a real nice day. And that's going to be a Saturday, and then that Sunday we would have our international storytelling. So all the stuff is in the works.
Wow.
It's right around the corner. We're going to put out a big list of everything so people, see it in writing and know about it. And we're going to keep it moving.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and looking forward to some of the people that have joined us, that are over time and seeing people come back that we've not seen in a while and see some new faces. When you came in, I was talking and just sort of suggesting some, different things and ways to think about things to just start writing. Just put it down on paper, what you were thinking, and talking about the difference between not just the facts of how things have happened, but how did you feel? What did you see? What were you thinking? And things.
Nice.
So we've covered a lot of ground in your absence.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, I'm gonna get on off here. Got to get back to the business at hand, but I really appreciate you stepping in as always. You do a fantastic job, and just everybody out there, keep on writing. All right? Okay.
Well, thank you.
I'll see you
so
now.
much. We'll talk to you then.
Thank you.
Be
Okay.
safe.
See you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
I almost wanted to hang up the phone when he said bye. You know how we're just conditioned to do that. I almost just hung up the phone. So let's see. We have actually talked our way past our video. So Minister Chris, would it be possible to have another video?
The tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time.
Let freedom reign. Free yourself from mental slavery. To take a look at my soulless bravery. I am blood, sweat, and tears. There's nothing you can say to me. 'Cause of my skin, you should not be predictable. They say you no good. They say you a thief. Hold your purse or belonging on the streets. Think before you pull that trigger. Make your hopes and dream bigger. Admiration, dedication runs in you like a river. Women are the love not to hit. Blackmails, think bigger. A day work won't see you through. Thinking you're good now, you're thinking selfish. 'Cause that girl you be messing around unprotected. So you know what that means? Another mouth to feed. And like without an eye you can see that you're slipping back into modern day slavery. Only crying out, the system is against me. What am I to do when I see my brother recycling history? Nick.
Thank you, Minister Chris. Minister Chris always comes through for us and finds the most interesting videos and, videos that are definitely on point to either what we are talking about or what we're going through or where we are. So thank you very much, Minister Chris, for sharing that. I was thinking to share something, that I've written. It was written quite a while ago, but I'll go with one of my signature pieces. And I guess it's, I can maybe explain why it's a signature piece. A lot of times poets have a poem that they are known for or their go-to poem. Just a poem that fits every situation in every circumstance. And as I said, I write out of my feelings or out of emotions or out of anger sometimes, and things like that. So I have different poems on different subjects and sometimes, in an effort to read the room, I take my time and I don't necessarily share every poem everywhere because maybe it's not necessarily for that particular place and time. But this one is one of my signature poems because it's a go-to. It's my go-to poem. And it's called Who Do You See? Who do you see? As I stand before you in plain view, what do you see when you look at me? Has society defined my image or created a cultural montage? If you're looking, tell me, what is it you see? From royalty and warrior bloodlines, I come African and Native American through my skin to my hair and in my veins. Indigenous and Aboriginal in part, and somewhat foreigner at best. For my ancestors immigrated in chains. Who do you see? My ancestral lineage is biblically documented from the beginning of time. I'm a motherland descendant, the product of a slave's reality. My ancestors' credits include the pyramids, mathematics, and the sciences. I have a natural affinity for excellence and the indwelling of a free man's mentality. Who do you see? Granddaughter to a woman who could bear no child and an heiress to my father's throne. As angels, they fly freely and watch over me. So when you see me singularly, know I'm blessed and never alone. Who do you see? Do you see Dante, Gibran, Shange, Maya, or Giovanni? Or perhaps you see one who pens a best-selling book. Perchance you see creativity, originality, ingenuity, and a visionary. If not, focus in, my friend, take a look. Who do you see? Do you see sincerity and benevolence, or a quiet, peaceful demeanor, a habitation of love that's rooted in faith? And be a person whom to date has yet to meet a stranger and still believes there's hope for the human race. Who do you see? Now see my scars, my flaws and imperfections. They're medallions of honor to substantiate the unfairness of life. From battles fought, some won, some lost, and some forfeited, with my blood, sweat, and tears a usual price. Who do you see? I am artist and writer, a carpenter and seamstress, building poetic bridges and quilting a literary future from my past. I am servant and leader and an advocate for the defeated, a motivator and a teacher of my craft. Who do you see? I am Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Marissa Alexander, and Kelly Williams Bolar. I am Emmett, Nat Turner, Rosa, Garvey, and Angela too. I am Martin, I am Malcolm, Michelle, Douglas, Carver, and Dubois. And if you fail to see the connection, one day I'll be you too. Who do you see? I speak with signs that are sacred and clandestine. I speak with languages for many tongues in a different land. I speak with prudence and compassion, a universal language to all, and I speak for diversity and the multitude of man. Qui vede, qui voyez-vous? I can vase, what you desio? Who do you see? I am proud of this junction to which life has brought me. Please take note of my poise, stature, and stance. Through the refiner's fire I've journeyed and will go again and again, not something you'll see if at first only you glance. Who do you see? Though my layers may seem minimal, superficial, and unsophisticated, and what your eyes see appears to be quite clear. Seeing me with naked eyes and only your vision is like having ears without listening to what you hear. Tell me, who do you see? And that was Who Do You See, taken from Clouds Before Fire and Smoke Before Rain. One of the things that Nate mentioned when he came on was storytelling. And we in October, we have our we participate in national storytelling. We have people that are storytellers, and such as myself, Nate, and we sometimes have a theme when we just tell a story. I consider myself to be a storyteller, and I consider myself to be a griot. And the griot comes from it's a Western African term about, it means storyteller. And every family had a griot, and the griot would basically remember the history of the family, and they would repeat it because, of course, then and especially when they came over as slaves, they couldn't write it down. There was no documentation of it. And so they would remember the story. If anyone remembers, it was a series on Essence called The Book of Negroes. The actual book is called Someone Knows My Name. Let me just say this. I always think the book is better than the movie. Any book is better than the movie. I've yet to read a book and see a movie and think that the movie was better than the book. Just my personal opinion. I'm just saying. So it's called Somebody Knows My Name. But if you want to see the movie first, it is The Book of Negroes. And it starts with, and I don't want to tell the story, but there's a little girl and they're on the slave ship. And the little girl, because she's so young, she's just kind of found favor, which really wasn't favor, but she's found favor with the captain. And so she's not shackled like everyone else because she's harmless, and or so he thinks. And she has the gift of remembering names and remembering stories. And so they, people would say, Wendy Washington, no Chirione, say it. And then the little girl would say it, and they would tell her, my mother is, such and so, say it. And then she would repeat it. And then someone else would say it. So everyone that was, people that were on the ship were telling her these names, and she was remembering the names and telling the stories of each of these individuals. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent story. But I said all of that to say that we need more storytellers. We certainly need more storytellers because we need people to tell our stories. No, let me correct that. We need to tell our own stories. We don't need people to tell our stories for us. They can spin it however they want to spin it, call it facts, and then that becomes the story. We need to tell our own story. So we need to bring back our family griots. We need to remember the history of our families. We need to teach our young people the history of our families. I'll share this with you, but talk about it further on Monday on our podcast. I have a podcast with my son, Nathaniel, and close family friend, Jason Benefield out of Los Angeles, California. Jason A. Benefield out of Los Angeles, California. On Mondays, it's called Let's Talk About It from 6 to 7 p.m. But I wanted to share that we had an opportunity to go to our family reunion in Birmingham. And so Taft had not met. This was on my father's side of the family. So my father passed away in 1988. So of course, Taft wasn't even a gleam in my eye. But we had an opportunity to go to my father's side of the family reunion, and we went to the funeral. Well, a couple of interesting things happened. The itinerary said that it was the Warrior, Alabama. It was the Warrior Cemetery. So I put in Warrior Cemetery. So we get to the cemetery and there's no family there. So this was the flag placing at the cemetery, and all the family was going to be there. So we get there and there's no family there. No family there. So I called a cousin and said, well, what's going on? Where's everyone? Turns out that Warrior, Alabama has two Warrior cemeteries. One that was for the white people, one that was for the Black people. Of course, you know where my family was. And so we went. Cemeteries tell amazing stories. Amazing stories. There were, and I don't remember the name, but there was a grave site, two right next to each other, same family. They were both children. One child was born and passed away, I want to say like 2 months later or something like that. And then another child was born and passed away maybe 6 months later, but they weren't twins, but they were born very close in proximity. Just the story, like, and it wasn't, I don't believe it was one of our family members. And this was a much older grade, much older. So one could maybe guess what may have happened during that time frame that one family might have lost 2 children. But the story there, someone knows that story, and I wonder who's telling it, who's recounting, and where does one go to find the history of that family. My great grandparents, so that would have been my great grandparents, where their grave was, there were maybe 4 stones there next to theirs, which there was no name, so they were just grave markers. But there was a name there, but it had just worn off, because a lot of the stones out there, you could see that it was, I believe it was limestone. So someone chiseled the names in those stones themselves. And if they didn't chisel deep enough, then by now, all these years later, with the weather, sun, wear and tear, everything else, it disappeared. But there were 3 or 4 little small grave markers that were there. And we don't know whose grave that is, but there's a story there too. So it's not just the grave, but there's a story there. And I just said that basically to say that make sure your family has someone that will tell the story of your family. Don't leave it there in the cemetery. Make sure there's someone that continues to document and tell the story. And we're allowed to read and write now, so we can definitely document our family stories. For those of you that have a matriarch and a patriarch of your family, which would be matriarch, the oldest woman or the mother of the family, or patriarch, the oldest father or the oldest man in the family, you'd be surprised at the amount of information that they can give. And you'd be surprised at probably how willing they are to share that information with anyone that will listen. So reach out to your family, ask questions, get the stories. That's who our griots are now. But if we don't have someone to come behind them and learn, sit with them and ask questions, if we don't have someone to do that, then we're in trouble. I believe I see Miss Lizelle Powder. Did she come in and then leave out? Well, let's see. Minister Chris, was that Lizelle Powder coming in?
Yes. I don't think, there she goes.
Yeah.
There she is, Lizelle. Hello, Lizelle. How are you?
Good so far.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I know you just came in, but I was just talking about storytelling.
Okay.
And I know that you do poetry, but like myself, your poetry also tells a story. And you often talk about back home for you, Trinidad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you often talk about Trinidad. So I'm curious, do you all have storytellers that keep, hello, Nanette.
Hey, how you
Nan
doing?
Swanson, thank
Hi.
you for joining us.
Hi, Lizelle.
Lizelle, do you all have people that keep your family history, like storytellers or
Yeah.
a way?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Okay, is it you for your family? Because you tell such great stories about back home. Are you your family historian?
No, not really, but it's just Surprisingly enough, I wrote something about back home. I guess is what you have experienced, so you talk about it, growing up and what you see and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it always some story. There is so many stories of Trinidad folklore. They had well, the folklore is really which really happened, but that's like years ago in the days where people didn't have like electricity. There was something called Dwen and Sukunya and stuff like that. Those were folklores, but they were really true. They were, the Dwens really is, I believe they said it's children who weren't baptized and died. They came back. So what they do is they had, I think they wear hats and they lived in the forest area. And sometimes men will go hunting and they make a noise. They make a cry, like a crying noise. It's not like actually crying tears. The sound that they make is like calling, like a calling noise. And when you come up with them, they carry you deep into the forest and you never to return.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it had a lot of that. It had the Sukunya really. Sukunya is something like a vampire. They will be normal people in the day, but they read a lot of bad books, evil books, to transform themselves into this flying stuff, because one actually bit my mother. You will get up with a big blue and black, it's on your leg. You either get it on your legs or your hand, but mostly on your legs. You will get up with a big blue and black, like a mark on your leg, and it will be very painful. So
note to self.
So did they believe, was this superstition or what?
No, it really was. It really happened. Yeah. It had a lot of, those were the days when they didn't have, well, when my mother showed me her leg and I saw the mark, to tell you the truth, we don't know how it happened, because I think what they do, they try to, you will be so much in a deep sleep. They put you in a deep sleep. So when they bite you or whatever, you won't even know what happened. It's when you get up in the morning, you see in this mark on your leg.
Wow.
So I think what they used to do to keep them away is either you use garlic or salt or something, or you throw salt at them or something like that. But sometimes some people knew who this person was, because they transform themselves. I don't know how they do it, but I know they said it have like those bad, evil books that they would do spells and all these different things that they would read and transform themselves into stuff in the night. So it was a lot of things. Dwen, Sukunya, Lajables. Lajables was a woman, beautiful woman. She would look so pretty. And these men will get so captured. They will, with her beauty. But when you look down on her foot, she has cow feet.
Cow feet.
She has cow feet. Yeah, cow.
Cow feet.
Yeah, cow. Yeah,
oh,
cow.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying these things really happen. These were stories that, it was sound superstitious then, but it really happened in those days, back in those days. Then the other one was Papa Boa. Papa Boa was a hoofed creature that protect the animals in the forest. So, once you meet up, it's to run for your life.
Wow.
Wow.
So I never meet up those things, but my mother had stories and neighbors had stories about them. So it was.
I know that, like, coming from the South and then having lived in Nigeria, there are a lot of superstition, sort of like what Nan said, is a superstition, you know, or a story. And so I guess because I don't believe in those things, not saying I don't believe you, I'm saying because I don't, you know, I don't believe in those things. But you hear those stories, and just what I was saying before, that a griot passes, you know, the stories of the family or the traditions or the, you know, the folklores or the mores or whatever, you know, they pass them on and share them. And so those are examples, I would imagine, of how a griot would keep the story, because like, you know, something happened, whatever it was, something happened, your mom experienced it, your mom told the story to you. So now you've got the story and you told the story to us. So now everyone that's heard the story will hear the story. They will tell that story. The story continues to live. But think about all of the stories that didn't get told. You know, think of all the many things that have happened in our families and in our communities that didn't get a voice, you know. And so earlier, and that's kind of what I was talking about before, was, you know, just trying to encourage people to write your story, you know, write your story. The three of us could witness, say we could witness a bank robbery, you know, same bank robbery. I might be inside, Nan might be at the drive-through, and Lizelle, maybe you just left. You know what I mean? But we've all seen the same thing. We're going to tell the story from three different perspectives. The same way, if all three of us were in there standing together and experienced it and saw it together, it would be three different stories. You know, I may have noticed the fear on everyone's faces, or I may have noticed the bank robber's hands, or something significant to me will be something different to each of you, you know, and that's why it's so important to tell the story. Nan, what about you? Does your family have like a family historian or someone that keeps the stories of the family? And
Well, my mom was raised in Walhalla, South Carolina. You ever hear of it?
Yes, deep. Yes,
Seneca,
deep.
South Carolina, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, way back there. But yeah, she had a lot of stories to tell about her grandfather, who was, let me see if I get this right, part Cherokee or something like that. And somebody in the family was white. I'm not sure, or part white or something like that, from slaves or something. And she'd have stories to tell like that, and about an uncle that slit a woman's throat. His girlfriend or wife, or I think it was the girlfriend, because she wanted him. You know how they believed in superstitious stuff.
Yes.
She put her blood, her menstrual blood, in his food, and he found out about it. Yeah, and he slit her throat. Stuff like that, you know, and about the children being delivered, well, not just given birth in the fields, you know, while working and stuff like that. Because they pick cotton, you know, and they did, you know. And then she was saying about her dad, and who was a light-skinned man. Her mom was light-skinned, but she married my dad, which was dark. And she said if her dad would have been alive, he would have allowed that. You know, stuff like that. You know, prejudice within, you know, within Black people, colored people, or whatever.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Yeah, different stories she told.
Wow. I don't know, Nan, if you ever mentioned that you had family from Seneca. My god sister in Seneca, South Carolina. Didn't you say your mom?
Yeah,
your mom grew up in Seneca?
Yeah, Walhalla.
So my god sister is in Seneca.
Oh, really?
And I lived
your god sister.
I lived in I lived in Seneca when I first
Where
when
you
I
at,
first
Wendy?
moved to Greenville.
Where are you at now? I mean, your voice is kind of softer back or something.
Oh, it's my voice is soft.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is because I've been coughing. It just
I thought it was
miraculously.
where you were at because I see this.
No.
Is that the skylight or what's that?
Yeah, it's a greenhouse like.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a greenhouse, but part of it is because I was coughing. I've been the weather is wreaking havoc on my allergies.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, my asthma and allergies, and so I think I've been talking softer, which is really interesting because the first probably hour and 15 minutes of the show, I coughed through the whole thing.
Really?
Now we're almost done, and Nate came on and I just quit coughing. So I know Nate's gonna feel like he helped me stop coughing or something.
Is he back? Where is he at? Is he in Boston?
No, he's in Boston with the young people for the AXO.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, so I'm very familiar with Seneca, and I'll try to thank you for letting me know. I'll try to keep my voice up. I want to say hello to Dr. Dan Snowden. Dan, thank you for joining us. I don't think we got the other part of him getting his sound up. So we don't have a whole bunch of time. I think we've got one more video left. Lizelle, were you going to share tonight?
Yeah, I could share something.
Okay, so I'll come back to you in a minute. Nan, are you sharing tonight?
I guess I could read one of the things I wrote last week.
Oh, great. I mentioned you earlier and talked about you sharing at the Poetry and Pastry. You did a great job. I talked about your singing as well as your being a poet and sharing. So yes,
Nate talked me into it.
Well, he doesn't have to talk you into it anymore because you did a great job.
Thank you.
As always, you did a great job. Dan Snowden, are you there yet? Okay, we'll wait to see if he comes in, if he can hear us. So let's start with Lizelle. Let's do Lizelle, then Nanette, if Dan comes in, and then we'll do a video, and maybe we'll have time to to go around again and do it again. So Lizelle, take it away.
Let me just do it, thing it up a little bigger because my eyes sometimes are.
Wait 1 second, Lizelle. Dan, is that you? Did you get in?
Yes.
Okay, how are you this evening?
Fine, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, great. We're getting ready to start a round robin. Are you going to share with us tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got Lizelle, then Nan, and then you, and then we'll do a video after that. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Lizelle.
This is called Together We Aspire, Together We Achieve. Now, this is on the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm just reading. That's something. All right. Together we aspire, together we achieve. This is on the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago. But what is the meaning of it? Aspire means hope, dream, to achieve something for the better by coming together. Achieve means that something that is accomplished. Are these words being read daily? Or is it a myth when bread was 5 cents, no lights, but lamp filled with pitch oil? It was bush tea in those days, no sugar. Sugar and salt was pennies. It was neighborhood love and togetherness. The old folks would gather around to discuss and solve problems. Not today. Sometimes no money. You can trust the goods and pay later. Food was shared amongst neighbors and friends. Those were the days. That was life. Life was good. No quarrel, no fuss. Nowadays, it's not so. It's fight to survive. It's a fight to survive. You can't go by nobody and beg for food. You mad? You want to get killed? Is either you get killed this day or the next day. What are we aspiring? What are we achieving? Long-time children was being born outside the marriage, and the wife must mind them outside children, and she have to shut up. She can't say a word, or else it's licks. She taking in these children as if it's her own. But these days, women standing strong, they're not taking that. What do you want to achieve in this sweet TNT? Are we going backwards or forward as a nation? Are we setting examples for the younger generation, or are we pulling them in to be a part of this lawlessness? Wake up, TNT, if you want a better tomorrow. We got to start now and save the land of steel pan and calypso. Carnival, they say, is the greatest show on earth. Then we need to show it. Then we need to work together before the land crashes. Or else you will just see dirt. No country, no togetherness, no love. Just dirt. That's it.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. I like that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I want to say I just came from, I had to stop at the dollar store. And it was two young girls in there. And you could hear them all over the store just about, because me and one lady just looked at each other and said, kids. And they were fussing, don't touch me, you touch me, you know. And I said, let me see who these kids are. And it was two girls, one was a little bigger than the other. And I said, are you two sisters? And she said, no, we're cousins. Yeah, and I said, well, I said, you probably need to stop fighting with each other and just love on each other. And then I guess one of the mom came and she said, y'all need to stop. She just looked at me and then she said to them, y'all need to stop. But they were just, fussing with each other and fighting. These two cousins. I said, y'all need to love on each other. So they just looked at me. I don't know if it processed or what, but anyway. But my poem, I wrote this on the 21st. I'm not even sure what day that was, but it says, let's talk about love, true love. It said, even though there is so much wickedness in the world, there is also love. That love can be spread about if we commit to Jesus. He is love, and he will show us how to love if we would but seek him, study his words, look around and see his great love. Love changes everything. Love is kind, gentle, forgiving. Love brings peace to your soul. If we can get this in our spirit, love will grow. Let us choose love, and we shall have life everlasting, because what the whole world needs now is love, sweet love. This is a heart thing and not a head thing. Love is like a warm place on a cold night. 1 Corinthians 13:4-8 says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of the wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails. God's love is the greatest love of all. Amen. So I wrote that about love.
Nice.
Amen. Amen. Very nice.
Beautiful. Yes.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
And I like that you have it dated that you have the date. Just, when you do
Yeah, I
your
try to date
phone thing,
everything now because
Yeah.
there was a time when I didn't date stuff and I had to think, well, when did I do this? So I try to remember the date stuff. Very important.
Yeah, I have some that have a date on it, but some, I wish I had so then I could have maybe gone back and thought about what was going on at that time when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Very nice, man.
Thank you.
Man, I see your inner poet coming out.
I even wrote something. I even wrote something for the Broad Street Market for Nate, because he wants us to compile something about the Broad Street Market, and it brought back some of the memories that I had going. So yeah.
Wow. That's cool. That's cool. We'll be looking forward to that. Let's see. Dr. Dan Snowden, are you ready to share?
Yes, I am.
All right, we're ready to hear.
Okay, I'll just find my poem here. All right, I'm coming up with a poem here, and it's called, where is that? I was looking for the dream situations that poem that I wrote there. And here we are. Here it is, the dream situations. All envision their dream situations when everything in the world is just right. They can come at just about any time, most often appearing out in plain sight. Dream situations can take many forms, as varied as humanity itself, work, leisure, and of course relationships, or any other subject on the shelf. When people chase their dream situations, they do so with utmost tenacity, striving to arrive at that happy place, enduring for long-term veracity. Dream situations never come easy. They require both vision and attitude. With all the pieces falling into place, possibilities have more latitude. So bring many ideas to forge a path, crushing all obstacles under one's heel, arriving in triumph, daring to show that sustained dream situations are real.
Right. It was a
You
little
get that
short.
one? Yeah, more or less, because if you had time, I could pull out its companion as well, At the Crossroads.
I'm sure.
All right, and here's At the Crossroads. Uncertainty is king at the crossroads, whenever one's next move just isn't known. All direction, logic, and common sense appear to have been fully overthrown. Facing the crossroads is no easy task, since humanity likes to know what comes next. Yet when times start becoming nebulous, the results can leave many quite perplexed. Managing the crossroads takes extreme tact, embellished with the guidance of fortitude. Ultimately, an opening comes forth. The main driving force is one's attitude. Therefore, the crossroads can be overcome with proper mindsets remaining intact. Belief that much better times are ahead must be accepted completely as fact.
Very nice, Dan.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
You've pulled another one off the press again. Very good.
Oh, certainly. My pleasure.
Thank you. Let's see. Minister Chris, do you have one more video for us?
Did he hear you? Oh, here you. Oh.
Yes, my internet's running a little bit slow, so let's see if it'll play.
Okay.
She looks like somebody I know.
I have drunk venom by choice. I have drunk venom by choice. Feasted on it while sitting at a table with my enemies, tasting death each time and hoping that you, while locked in the cell of my heart, would taste it too. I wanted you to feel how I felt. but preach smiles and innocence to make it hurt less. I have drunk venom by choice. Unforgiveness breeds death, stopping the very flow of life in these veins. If you forgive, then you be forgiven. But what happens when you choose to deny grace? To deny another what you have been freely given? What happens when your feelings become more important than pardon or mercy or love or the death of the only begotten? Did each nail mean nothing? Each whip? That you would choose to deny forgiveness and instead fall at the mercy of bitterness, have you not heard? Unforgiveness breeds death. It profits you nothing to live in bitterness, to imprison those that have wronged you, knowing that you have wronged many and also need forgiveness. It profits you nothing. It profits you nothing. We must forgive so that we may be forgiven. We must forgive because we have been forgiven.
Yes, that's a very important message.
Yes, by such a young, she seems appears to be very young, I should say. Very, very important message. Thank you, Minister Chris, for that. Let's see, we've got about 15 minutes. I do want us to make sure that we that we get off on time. Do either of you, does anyone have anything short, anything that you want to share?
Yeah.
Nothing at the moment.
Well, so while if you think something comes up, Minister Chris, are you able to pull up a copy of this month's or last month's Writers Workshop magazine edition? Just so that we can maybe go through and remind people to put their submissions in. They're due by the 15th of every month, and then it comes out that first week of the next month. So the Writers Workshop digital magazine, our dapper leader, Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Gadsden, and it is a very, very well put together magazine with various contributions from around the country, dare I say. Lizelle, are you in this month? Wow, see, look at there, Lizelle.
Oh, that's good pictures.
We've got different people from different businesses, different things like that. Secret Keepers, your very own Wendy Washington Nochirione.
Yes.
So, Nan, are you in?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't know. I sent it to Sarita Henderson. She gave me the card. And I sent it in, but it might go in for next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got Ro Brady. Dan Snowden, did you submit?
I did.
Okay. So listen, guys, the 15th is the deadline. And when you get a chance, go through, just pull it up on Facebook. You'll be able to see it. It's not just us, but it's a lot of people that have taken the time to include their information. As you can see, just flipping through it. I think we all know that guy there, Minister Chris Thomas. Yeah, and Lizelle, No Woman Don't Cry. So if you have a chance, go online, look it up, pull it up on Facebook, and certainly take time to read through it and send us your feedback. Send us your thoughts and anything that you may think about it and what your thoughts are. Remember that the submission to get it in has to be entered Email writerswordshop online, I believe it is, at gmail.com. Sarita Henderson is the person that is compiling it and putting the information in. So please don't forget. We are here every Friday from 7 to 9, the Nathaniel Gadsden's Writers Workshop. So please encourage others to come. Encourage others to come out. Got a couple of events coming up that Nate talked about a little bit earlier, and back to school. Can you guys believe that it's almost time to go back to school? Like the kids it feels like they just got home last week.
The 28th.
So they go back on the 28th?
In Harrisburg School. 28th of
Wow.
August,
Wow.
yes.
Whew.
Yeah.
Time is moving. It waits for no man. Time moves by so fast. So those that are preparing to get their children back to school and things like that, look out for our next month, which being August. We're pretty much August now. The Writers Workshop will have a back to school program in conjunction with the Rite Aid on Dairy Street, way out Dairy Street, going towards Hershey. So that's where our next event will be. Nate's going to get the date and time for us. And if by chance you're not participating in a back to school program, or if by chance you know of a young person that, or if you can purchase some back to school things, if you're in the store and just happen to be, in the area, pick up a notebook and some crayons or something like that and share it with the young person. It just seems to get more and more difficult as time goes on for parents to purchase school supplies. And whereas teachers used to be able to purchase things and share with the students, it's getting more difficult because it's becoming more costly. So keep in mind that the cost of supplies are going up as well. So if you can help a young person with the back to school supplies, by all means, please consider. Think about how that will get their school year started off. And if they get their school year started off with all the things that they need, perhaps that will help them better throughout the school year to do well, and to encourage them. And hey, when you buy them a box of markers or a box of crayons or something, just write something on the back real small, put a note on it to encourage them to do well, and to put their best foot forward. So let's find a way to continue what Nate Gadsden and Pat Gadsden do on a daily basis with the Writers Workshop and the Life Esteem, which is encourage our young people, encourage families, and encourage each other. Let's find a way to continue doing what they do every day. Let's just take a moment out of our schedules and our time to help someone out, and to spread the encouragement that they give.
Yeah, like I said, I just came from a dollar store, and they had lots of pencils and paper and stuff. It's $1.25 now. It's no longer the dollar store, but it's pretty reasonable and cheap. Pencils and markers and crayons and paper and everything. You can get it right there at the dollar store. But I want to pray over your.
I think they should.
I know the enemy's trying to attack your body and take your voice and cause that affliction on you. But I pray in the name of Jesus that you be healed, and because God is able to do exceedingly abundantly all that we can even ask or think. So God, I pray that you touch Wendy's body right now, God, and give her the wisdom and the direction to help her heal her body in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Because I can see it on you. You're gonna be all right though.
Well, thank you. I appreciate.
Get some liquid in you.
I'm drinking water right now, but when I get out, I'll get some hot tea, and things. So I'm kind of going back and forth between what's soothing, between what's soothing. Thank you so much. Also, I want to say a special thank you to the Voice 17104, Minister Chris Thomas, who is always Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
always makes it happen and gives up his time for us on Fridays. So I want to thank you, Chris, for that. Thank you for holding us down. If you all have an idea for a show or have an idea for a podcast, Minister Chris Thomas at the Voice 17104, that cool guy right there with the Middlesworth potato chip. Yeah, we
Eating his
saw
chips. Middlesworth too.
Middlesworth, yes.
I was hunting in the store for some chips and I said, oh my goodness, I don't need no chips.
Well,
I have to
that's-
contact him because I wanted to start the podcast with the stalker thing. That
Okay.
I see the car up to this day, you know, but
Okay.
I've jotted
Well,
down
I'm telling you, if you
all
want to
my
do it,
stuff.
talk to Minister Chris Thomas.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
have
way
to
to
get
go.
in contact with
Taft
him.
and I are on Mondays from 6 to 7. But don't just stop by on those days. Just as you're scrolling through Facebook, search the Voice 17104 of Voice TV, and you will be amazed at the different ministries, the different programs, and the different things, including my own church, Wesley Union AME Zion Church, there at 5th and Camp Street in Harrisburg. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to Dr. Dan Snowden, Nan Swanson, and Lizelle Powder for coming on. Thank you to Reverend Dr. Nathaniel Denzel Washington Gadsden for giving me this opportunity to stand in your shoes. And hopefully we will be able to do it again, same time, same place next week. Don't forget, our kids are getting ready to go back to school. So let's see what we can do to help them out and to continue to encourage them. I believe that is it. Don't forget to submit your stories, your poems, 500 words or less, short stories, 1,500 words or less, to Sarita Henderson, and so that we can get them in. It will be too late to get it in for the August one, but you'll be in for September. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. Thank you guys for joining on. For those that joined and watched and commented, thank you for your comments and for joining. And we will see you guys next week.
All right. Be blessed.
I haven't had to
Friday.
text you.
Thank
I had
you,
to ask
Will.
a question.
Okay. And thank you for the prayer, Nan. Thank you so much.
Be blessed. That's a great picture.
Yeah, very nice.
All right.
I like
Take
it,
care.
yeah.
Okay,
All
bye.
right, you guys too.
We should have good news next Friday from Nate.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Bye.